What you are about to hear will blow your mind and give you six-pack abs without even exercising.
Pull up a bar stool and relax.
Hey, who wants to have some fun?
You've made it to Happy Hour with John Gaskins.
Oh, no. Not again.
Get ready for entertaining local and regional sports talk that will change your life, or not.
And by the way, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Here's your host, John Gaskins.
Here's Johnny. Hello! Ah! I'm back, baby! I'm back!
Doing it live. It is Happy Hour meets the Jackrabbit Illustrated, guys. Can't wait for this. Football season is upon us, and they're getting rolling. They've been podcasting since 2020. They now have 3 or 4 different shows, depending on if you want to count the wrestling podcast. It's an empire that Matt Tollefson started in 2017 with the Jackrabbit Illustrated website and blog. So we're going on dang near a decade and 10 football seasons. And no matter how you slice it, the website, the podcasts, Jackrabbit Illustrated is an awesome place for the hardcore fans or the casual fans, for news, analysis after games, and especially the recruiting. Basically, Matt Zimmer and I and anybody else who covers, and I'm putting that in quotation marks, covers the Jackrabbits, leaves it up to you guys. Go for it. You do an excellent job for those who want to stay on top of recruiting. And so it's great to have Matt Tollefson, the Podfather, which he likes to call himself. He's actually made T-shirts for himself, calling himself the Podfather, the founder and creator of this whole empire. Chad Myros, part of at least 2 of the podcasts, and Brandon Ludke, who dubs himself the most boring podcaster on the planet, as part of the B team. So most of you who are watching this already are familiar with the JI guys and their work, but in case you aren't, you should be, especially if you follow SDSU, because they are fun. They're informative. These are real fans, reacting sometimes in real time to what's going on. They talk as if they would and probably did without cameras rolling after games or throughout the week. And that's what's authentic and wonderful about checking it out. But they do real serious news stories as well on the website. So it's great to have you guys. Is that accurate? Like, does every show feel like a world you guys used to live in together before you started having a show? And I'll let Matt, the Podfather, get the ball rolling here because I also want to learn about how this all started.
Sure. So thanks, John, for having us on. First off,
by the way, sorry, I know I've already hijacked the first 2.5 minutes without hearing any of you guys. Anybody consuming alcohol like I am at 11 a.m.?
Got to go back to work.
So my boss has told me I can drink at lunch, but then I'm not allowed to come back.
The show's called Happy Hour, so I thought it's 11 a.m., but screw it. You guys are going to carry this one. So I've got some wine, but in case I get tired, I've also got coffee. In case I get dehydrated, I've got water. So that's how. And we've got
garage time. Yep.
Matt's holding up a Lemon Kolsch garage time. What do you got, Brendan? What's getting you through this hour?
I got a Miller Lite.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I'm a salesman.
Looks like a Fat Tire logo on it.
No, that's the
did
old
look
crest.
like that to me as well, John. Good.
Okay,
good
there we go. And Chad, what do you got?
I got this energy drink. I don't know.
Okay. I heard those are really good for you.
Yeah, look at how healthy I look. I barely fit in frame.
By the way, Matt, the Podfather, is very upset that he's not on the top of our 4-box view here.
No, that's me. I'm the one that
he's
has
used to being on top.
Oh gosh!
Instead, everybody's eyes draw straight toward Chad. Which
why wouldn't they?
If you're merely listening,
mine do.
It's a glorious beard.
It's the beard, yes.
All right.
100%.
There went another minute and a half. Matt, how did this whole thing get started? How do you all know each other, and how did this thing grow?
Okay, so yes, we used to talk like this about games, except in a different format. I'll get to that in a second. So 2017, my second child was born, and I was on paternity leave, and she was such a good baby that I ended up having a ton of downtime during that paternity leave, and was covering recruiting just on my personal account. Love to do the recruiting stuff, and I got kind of a hey, why don't you do this? Under like a team, like a team-based site. And I said, well, why don't I? And so my very first blog entry was written when I was on paternity leave, and it was actually about the WNIT experience, one of my favorite memories as a student when the Megan Vogel led Jacks beat Indiana in Frost Arena, and just that whole experience and how I kind of fell in love with the Jackrabbits my freshman year of college. And after that, did the blog for a couple seasons, and it was wonderful. I knew Chad and Brendan from SDSUfans.com, the online forum, the fan forum. And Brendan always gave insightful information about other FCS schools, along with Ben, who's not with us today. It was just always like thoughtful. They must have been on other sites learning about the other FCS programs, which is pretty rare for other people to care about other FCS teams outside of our conference even.
That's when you know you're serious.
Yep. And so I asked them to kind of have a second podcast show that would focus a little more on the outside of the MVFC. And then Chad just his, I don't know, he was on SDSU Fans with us, and all of the technology pieces. Chad has been like our version of Cordell and just been so helpful on that and creating promo videos. And he provides a lot of comedic humor to our group. And then Alex, I knew his wife from work when I worked at SDSU, and Alex had this math, like this model. We call it the Kinkle model now, that he would use to project matchups and picks and stuff. So we invited him on to be part of the show too, and just his analytical approach to everything. And then my buddy Dallas was on here with us from the start. He's taken a step back this year, but Dallas I knew from when I was in grad school in Mankato. Found out he was a former player, very smart, very well spoken. And so it was like, man, we got to have him on too. Like, he's just very passionate about this stuff and really helped set the website up and all of that. So that's how we all got here.
Okay. Are all of you in the Empire, are all of you SDSU alumni?
Yes.
You actually, you all went to school there. And so obviously by being entrenched in that, your fandom goes back even further and deeper. Are all of you South Dakota natives? Did you grow up Jackrabbit fans before you went to SDSU? I see Chad shaking his head and Brendan shaking his head. Okay, let's learn about that, Chad.
Well, no, I grew up in South Dakota, but Brendan certainly didn't, and neither did Dallas. But I wasn't really a Jackrabbit fan, so to speak, until I went to school there, and really didn't get involved in athletics until we had 8 home games back in, I think it was 2005, my last year at school, and decided, hey, maybe we should do this football thing. I'm paying for it anyway with student fees. Let's go check it out. And just started drinking, and it was a good time at tailgate. So, it kind of blossomed from there. That's kind of my story.
Yeah. Where are you from originally, or where'd you come to SDSU?
East side of Sioux Falls.
Okay.
I'm a Kim Nelson product too, which we can have a funny story about that sometime later.
Just had him on yesterday. I could text him right now and maybe get a story out of him before we're done. Knowing Kim, he'd actually be honest.
He probably would remember, actually.
Okay. And you seem like you might be memorable to people, and in a good way. And Brendan, your SDSU history.
Yeah. I grew up in northern Wisconsin, up where far enough north where the accent changes, and I laugh when people say, "Oh, Green Bay is northern up north Wisconsin, Green Bay, huh?" And I just laugh because that's nonsense. But grew up where the 30 Point Buck came from and everything, where they got the Huber accent, And yeah, ended
How
up
the hell
going to
did you
school in
drift over
Brookings.
here?
I got recruited. I was on the roster for a couple of years, and you know, you got to go to class or you don't stay on the roster. So funny enough. So yeah, and then you know, I've been, you know, you follow your teammates at your friend and your friends and everything, and really passionate about it ever since.
Yeah. And there you go. What is going back to Matt? And, you know, for a while here, I'll be kind of bouncing to you guys and saying your names so people know who I'm talking to. But at some point, feel free, bounce off each other like you do on the show. I'll try to stay out of the way. We will ask about the 2026 Jacks and where things are headed with some of the bigger picture issues of college sports, how it affects fans and alumni like you. But what's the aim? What's the goal, Matt? Of again with Jackrabbit Illustrated, we're talking about kind of two different things. There's the website, which provides a lot of great information and reporting, and then there's the podcasts that is more entertainment with information provided. But for the sake of we're doing a show, what's the aim of all of these shows?
Yeah, I think our aim is definitely to entertain, right? We have a lot of fun with it.
You sure do.
But also just a more informed fan base. I mean, that's kind of what it was, is the transition. We went from, so when I was in school, it was right during the transition, Division II to Division I. Weren't eligible for the playoffs and that kind of stuff. And so it was like, how do we take the school that's had these old entrenched rivalries with UND, USD, Augie, you know, and even the NCC stuff, and then how do we get them excited about the FCS? Because we were right in the middle of like starting that playoff run, kind of when we started, you know, how many ever years in a row it's been for playoffs, and our fans still didn't know much about the teams we were playing or the team itself. They just showed up for the Beef Bowl or Hobo Day or the NDSU game or the USD game. That was the only game they came to in the year. So how do we get excitement around the rest of the games? How do we fill that big stadium and create an awesome atmosphere for the team?
And I'll chime in just a little bit. I think somewhat we went to fill in some of the gaps left when transition happened at the Argus. Terry Vanderveck did an excellent job in that transition time, and hats off to him because he's kind of helped lead us to where we are. We've had him on the podcast before, and he put in a ton of work, which was just a yeoman's amount. I mean, that guy put in just more time than anyone. And it took us a while to get to where we're at today as far as coverage for the area teams. And I mean, you're obviously helping that. Matt's helping that. And Sioux Falls Live, to a lot of their credit, has done a good job picking up some of the slack that was left with the changes that have happened over yonder.
Well, I'll interject. You know why that is? Because there's a lot of Jackrabbit fans.
Yep.
We see numbers they consume at Sioux Falls Live and here at Happy Hour. Newsflash: anything SDSU related is typically the things that are most consumed consistently for a year and a half. Especially when Zimmer's on, he has a following. So
yep.
It's the fact that you guys A, started a show, and then B, grew into multiple shows, and C, grew your own following. You got 17,000 followers on Twitter. This is everything is a testament to how much interest has grown over the last 10 years, certainly, but going back to maybe even 20 years. And I guess Brendan can speak to that as well. Just tangible differences you can see, crowd size or interest in the last decade, interest in your guys' content from fans, and to capture what kind of a base we have now. You have now. I'm not in the base. You have.
I think it's really exploded. It kind of leads from, what we were talking about with the informed fan base and everything like that. And, letting people know that, hey, this is a big deal. And, from every aspect to how invested people are when we talk to them at the tailgate, and the amount of fans that know what's going on when they're talking about seeds and what games to pay attention to on the East Coast or the SoCon or whatever. They're interested, they're invested, they know these teams. I would argue, and I've made this argument for a long time, your average FCS fan is more informed about football than your average FBS fan, because they got to put a little more work into it to see these games, hear these games, learn about these teams. You know, they're not on ESPN College Game Day being talked about like the SEC every day. So you're putting in work to be knowledgeable. So it kind of makes you be more invested and smarter. But just, I think the tailgating and the game day experience has become an event. Mm-hmm. And that was something we had argued, you know, for a long, long time, that this needs to be an event. It needs to be a priority, because there was always, you know, oh, well, you know, my kids have soccer, or, you know, that's hunting. A lake weekend, pheasant hunting, you know, whatever. And my thing was, that's fine. You have your reasons for going or not going. But the crowd's only going, this place is only going to fill up until you make it a priority for yourself and it's enough of an event. And I think you see that especially early season. And that's something that's a whole different topic when it's cold weather, but you lose a lot of the families, right? You lose the wives, you lose the kids because it's cold. You don't want 5-year-olds in it, but you can see what an atmosphere it is when your early season games, it's warm and it's an event for the whole family. It really is. I mean, I can't think of a stadium in the country with 20,000 seats in it where I regularly see kids that parents let run around. And that's great, because it's that type of environment where you can safely be confident your kid's running around and not going to be in trouble or anything else. So it's a really cool thing. Tailgating has exploded. You know, I think sometimes we kind of forgot or didn't realize the reach we had until the first national title game. And we put on a tailgate down there.
Second. After the spring one.
Right. Well, yeah. The spring one, that was, it's hard to count fan support for limited when they only sold so many tickets and everything. But yeah, the second national title game, and we threw a tailgate and put it out to, you know, fan support and, you know, so, you know, some of our sponsors to help us sponsor a tailgate down there, and we end up with like 2,000 to 4,000 people show up, and we're giving away thousands of beers for free, and we're able to hire bartenders, and you know, it unbelievable. And my wife's sitting there looking at me because she comes down for it, and the whole 3 days we're there, she looks at me and she's like, it was like I came by myself because I couldn't get a word in to talk to you because people just kept coming up. And it's really incredible how big and how deep Jackrabbit Nation really is.
That is cool.
That tailgate down in Frisco, John, I just want to interject. Like JFPA did a lot of it too. JFPA had a big one, a big presence of former players there as well. And then it did kind of turn into like a Project X almost. Our food guy couldn't get through with his smoker. We ran out of beer about an hour before the game. And then the second year we were more prepared with the food, with the drink options and stuff. But Sam Herder says it's one of the best tailgates down there at Frisco when we throw it on the big lawn that's out there. So it was a great time.
And we got to give a lot of credit to Ben because he did a lot of the footwork on that. So,
And Brendan talked about sponsors. I think both times we raised over $10,000 to host this thing from sponsors in a matter of days, less than a week, because you don't have much turnaround time to get things booked. And so just the people love the Jackrabbits, and we just get to help bring them a little closer to it.
And it is kind of a community deal too, because we had fans, you know, carrying truckloads of Busch Light down to Frisco because they don't have enough Busch Light in Texas to keep our fans happy.
It was wild. I remember the conversations. We found a little tailgate trailer.
Thanks, Jim.
We were like, boy, we hope we can get everybody to pitch in for $500 to rent this thing. And then like 2 days later, we're like, we're over $10,000. How are we going to spend this money? Like, oh my God.
Yeah, we're like, wow, we're going to have to provide food and beer. Like, we didn't expect that.
To develop a following is awesome. To develop sponsors to help you pay for cool shit, for lack of a better word, like those things. True. I mean, again, I'll go back to the Podfather, Matt. How does that happen? Like, what initial response did you get from potential sponsors? I mean, you could just be a podcast that, you know, we just do this and we do this for fun and we just do it. And you know, we'll throw it out there. We'll get social media. We'll try to develop a following. And maybe that's what it was at first. But when you start getting
100%.
sponsorships, people to pay for it, and to pay for the shows, to pay for the tailgates, what was that like initially? Deciding I'm gonna see what's out there, and then how did it grow? Not that we're seeking advice at Sioux Falls Live or anything, but no. I think it's.
I mean, if I was going to cheer for a red team, it would be St. Cloud State. They got a hell of a hockey program.
Yes, thank you.
And a good. What?
Thank you, Chad.
Journalism program too. I heard
it pumped out Matt
guy
Zimmer.
At Sioux Falls Live, they went there.
Yeah, for what it's worth, it is helpful. Sponsorship 101 to mention sponsors that you already have. So thank you, St. Cloud State. But Matt, go on. How did this?
So it honestly, I resisted sponsors for a long time.
Really? You mean people wanted to sponsor and you
I just wasn't interested. Like I'm not doing it for the money at all. What we make, you know, these guys get a little stipend this year, first year of the stipend. But everything else goes back to SDSU now. We use it to pay for our table at the scholarship dinner. And then the rest goes back to JFPA. We write a check to JFPA every year. But it was Brendan, Ben and Chad probably pushing me. I didn't want to do video. They said, let's do video. I didn't want to do sponsors. They said, why wouldn't we do sponsors? So I got to give credit to these guys for pushing me to expand what this thing can be. So,
and to add to that, I think we haven't changed. You know, you were talking, John, earlier about, you know, you're doing it for fun and, you know, build a following. I don't even think we started to build a following. We were just doing it because it was fun. And if people listen, that's great. I remember the days when we had like 15 people listen, you know,
that was
when
cool.
we put out an episode. But we still do it for the fun because we're not out to keep the money. We're doing it for fun. And I think that is what keeps us going with it and what, you know, people appreciate. Because if we tried to be professional and, you know, really uptight and everything, I think we wouldn't be being ourselves. And I think people appreciate that.
You also wouldn't get accosted at the national championship for saying bad words.
Well, there's that. I've got my butt kicked for my language
Chad,
before.
Mr. Tech, Chad,
yes, sir.
I couldn't hear you. What did you just say?
Oh, I said you wouldn't get accosted at the national championship for using bad words on the podcast.
Okay, yeah. Well, I get that too. Yes, I get that. I was at an SDSU basketball game last year, and I don't know if accosted is the word, but a nice man who listens to this show was like, "Hey, do you have to curse?" I'm like, "No, but it's fun because this is how I sometimes talk in real life," and they let us. So no F-bombs. Cordell wanted to make sure. That's a good producer right there. He just reminded us not to drop an F-bomb here.
None of the seven deadlies.
This show is going to be on TV soon, so it's good to practice not cursing, but cursing, go ahead.
That's where I get in trouble because I will use the whole, you know, collage of swear words.
Especially late night with Borg. Late night with Borg.
I'm pretty tired and or toasted, and I think I've loosened Matt up because I'd get a text after every episode like, you can't be doing that. Now the joke is I get one F-bomb a show.
Go ahead, Chad.
I think this is just my perspective, and I think somebody maybe mentioned it to me. And, you know, you've been doing this happy hour for a little over a year now, officially the happy hour portion, but you were doing the Nobody's Listening anyways. And I like both shows. I do like Nobody's Listening anyway a little more. And I think that comes through on that podcast. And I think that's the special sauce there is what makes our podcasts enjoyable for people is we're authentic. This is how we are. This is how we interact. We're not putting on a show necessarily. Every once in a while we do some bits, but for the most part, it's just who we are. And we like to give each other a hard time. And that comes through and people enjoy that because we're just authentic. It's who we are.
Yeah, well, you actually answered the next question I was going to ask is why you think it has worked and grown and developed so much, but that's a big part of it. And I'll use the crack you gave to explain that. Yeah, I mean, maybe one or two or three of you remember, but I used to do a daily radio show in Sioux Falls. And this was back when Jackrabbit football in particular was just starting to get really good and grow. And we'd have John Stiegelmeier on every week. And then basketball season, we'd have Scott Nagy or Otzelberger on almost every week, and Aaron Johnston. And that was fun. And the mindset of the trained radio show host is try to create something that's close to you're at the bar with your friends and you're talking. Hard to do with buttoned up coaches who always want to have a message and, can't really say what's really on their mind. But when I lost the radio show in the pandemic, I started this thing with Zimmer because I'm like, we've been doing shows at the bar for years. Let's turn on a microphone and have a couple beers and see what happens. And clearly that's what you guys are doing. And back to the Saturday night thing, the late nights with Borg. I mean, that's the new age version of post-game call-in shows.
Yep.
As a Husker fan who listened to those for years,
Drink.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's some of the best. No, you take a drink. They took a Husker drink. These are
Another
listeners
one,
of
twice.
These are listeners of Happy Hour right there. That's my reference point. Sorry.
It's fine.
My Husker.
Where did you grow up in Nebraska?
Yeah. I worked in radio there for 5 years. And fortunately, I never hosted a call-in post-game show, but I listened to many of them, and they are some of the best and worst. It's some of the best and worst content you'll ever get. And even when it's bad, it's good. Because a lot of people are drunk. And when you lose, a lot of people are mad. They're mad and drunk. And sometimes those are the hosts of the show. So
did you catch?
It never gets more entertaining than that, like raw in the moment. So what's a great memory of when that show started? And Zach Borg is in the mix here.
John, did you ever catch the episode and why he's called the most boring podcaster?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Brendan, there you go.
I've been asked not to talk too much about that. No, it's a very late show, so it's not right after the game, which is nice. So people cool off a little bit by then.
Yeah.
And usually, if you're toasted enough to really say some wild stuff, you're probably asleep by the time this show's on, because we usually start around 11 o'clock, and we have no time limit. This thing has gone till 2:30 in the morning before. Yeah. So you get pretty sleepy sometimes. You get some wild comments, and we're not just doing, it's focused on SDSU. And then, because Borg, his expertise is SDSU, USD, local teams. So we will cover those games a little bit as well. Especially if it's like been a road game for the Jacks, I'm able to watch. I exclusively watch FCS football. That's all I watch. You ask me about an FBS team, I don't know. I don't turn the TV on for them. I'm on ESPN3 watching FCS football. I love it. So we talk all the games, all the big top 25 games, big things that happen. So we don't just get SDSU fans that are mad after a game. We get some wild ones from Montana and Montana State. We get UTRGV fans. We've got Murray State fans, and you get some wild comments on there.
And John, this is
Murray State. Oh, that's got to be fun.
Yeah, this is the only national live post game show. There's some that happen Sunday and Sunday night, but in terms of Saturday night football, this is the only one that there is. And so they get people from all over the place that are tuning into it.
And we're linked in with the Fans Nation Network, so that brings in some of those other teams.
Well, that is smart of them. Is there any one game or moment that was especially hilarious or disastrous or anything in between?
Play Enter Sandman.
They're all laughing, by the way. So okay. A couple of them are doing face palms.
I'm sorry, Borg.
Zach Borg isn't here with us to defend himself.
This is a challenge to do sometimes because, I go up to the game in Fargo and I'm doing it from a hotel lobby because my 2-year-old's sleeping in the bedroom with my wife, or I've done it from the basement of a friend's house because we went and visited them in Des Moines when we played a game. And one especially late night show, I'm talking and I look and my co-host's head's nodding like this and his head's bobbing. And at first I thought it might be a medical emergency, so I had a bit of a panic attack, and then I realized that he was sleeping. So I'm the most boring podcaster.
Is this guy's last name right? Does it rhyme with morgue?
It might. Yeah, it might.
Well, he's got young kids and he works a lot too.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Okay.
The comment section just went nuts. I put my co-host to sleep. So that's how interesting I am, if anybody's wondering, because he was knocked out for a couple minutes. So I'm
Sorry,
pretty
Zach.
entertaining. So sorry, Zach.
Let's channel Goodwill Hunting here. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
So it was my fault. So we're looking for sponsorships, maybe from like Comfort King, some sort of mattress company.
Beds by Design.
Yeah, Beds by Design.
It's brilliant.
It's
brilliant.
That's why I'm the most boring podcaster, and that's the funniest moment that's happened on that show by far. A lot of the. There's a fair amount of really funny ones, but they're kind of off color. So
man. I don't know if this is a question I wrote down before it started, and I don't know if it's a valid question. How difficult is it for you guys to separate as a fan? Obviously, you're all fans, you're alumni. It's a fan show. How difficult is it to separate objective opinions, either after a game or about the big picture, how the team is performing, where it stands in the MVFC or national landscape? Like last year, looking like national championship contenders and 4 losses in a row. I mean, Indiana State, Illinois State's blowing you out at halftime. Like, what I think is a great fan show, and take another drink. What I tried to foster when I got a chance to do my own show in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Drink.
Was I'm a Husker fan. We're gonna be real. We're not gonna be Pollyannish. If the team sucks, if Bo Pelini's an asshole, we're gonna I'm gonna say it, and some people are gonna disagree with me or not. But instead of trying to be quote unquote objective, or on the other extreme end of the spectrum, trying to be too Pollyannish, like it's okay, we're still great, we're awesome, we're the Huskers, we're the Jackrabbits. Take another drink. I'm out. Do you guys have a difficulty in separating your true objective opinions?
Much
from,
like me, it's on the spectrum.
What's that? Yeah.
Much like me, it's on the spectrum.
I mean, everybody's background here is Jackrabbit stuff, which I would expect.
Yep.
So maybe that's a bad question.
No,
but you know what I mean. Do you guys ever feel like you have to hold back ever? Or check yourself or whatever?
So yes. And this is something I think I learned really early on. I got a little tuned up at tailgating on a particular hobo day, and we played awful against UNI in this downpour of rain. I was so pissed off at halftime, John, that I took to Twitter, which is always the logical thing to do. And I tweeted, this is the most embarrassing performance I can ever remember. Like, what the heck? Basically. Within seconds, I got a player who was injured that responded to it and basically said, next time I see you at practice, I'm going to kick your ass. It was like, what? And so, you just kind of got to find that balance. I do make a point because I don't know the schemes. I don't know the particular responsibilities on any play. I speak in generalities a lot that, hey, it looked like, we didn't fill on that run play very well. I don't know exactly who was supposed to be there, so I never call out individual players for failing, just because I don't know. I'm not in the meetings. I'm not doing that. And so I try to do my criticism that way. On Sundays, the most popular blog I write still is called Rants and Raves. And I get criticism every one of those for being too tough and being too Pollyannish. And why didn't you call this out? And it's a long blog that usually takes me an hour and a half, 2 hours to write. And so when I get that feedback, I go back to our group and I'm like, I think I nailed it. I got people mad at me in both directions. So, you
are correct.
Pretty
yes. Chad, Brendan, either of you?
I think it's the most difficult part of doing this because we want to be honest, but you don't want to get super negative, because you do this to support the program,
Yep.
right? So we don't want to, I don't think you'll ever see us calling for somebody's job,
Nope.
But we do want to be honest with people as well. We don't want to be, Pollyannish, just rainbows and sunshine, everything's good. We don't have a problem being like, if the run game doesn't get better, we're not going to be going where we want to go, But like Matt said, you don't want to call out specific players for a whole myriad of reasons. We've got a lot of parents that follow it. We got, we know those players. But also, you know what? They're college kids, and granted, it's becoming a lot more professional. But at SDSU, they're not getting the if we were doing Texas or Ohio State, then I'd probably feel pretty comfortable calling out the guy making $3 million a year in NIL. But here it's still they get some NIL, but they're not getting that. So I'm not going to be, we're not going to do that. But we do have to call a spade sometimes, and it upsets people. But you can't lie to people. People have eyes. People know football besides us. So,
Brendan, I want to add one really quick thing here. John, your episode with Noah St. Clair, I think his name is, on the NIL and how that's working with players at this level that you did a few weeks ago, that was phenomenal. Like that was
he's a scout for an agency, an NIL agency.
That was so eye-opening, like his perspective and what they're looking at and what the players are actually getting in a lot of these deals. Great. That was really good. So thanks for doing that one.
You bet.
And like with anything, we pretty much follow Matt's lead on that, I would say. No, I'm serious though, Matt. Like we don't call out any specific players because it's something that we've talked about as a group and you've pointed it out, and that makes sense, right? I mean, it's a team sport. It takes a team to screw up, and sure, the actions of one play may cost you, I don't know, a national championship, but there was plenty of plays before that could have went the other way. Mm-hmm. So, at the end of the day, these are kids out on the field that we want to see do well and succeed, and our goal is to promote the brand, not detract from it. But like Brendan says, people have eyes. I mean, if our pass game's garbage, we're going to call it out,
Right. I want to get you guys drunk over the near noon hour on whatever you're drinking. So I'm really putting this in there in the conversation just to add my relatability to this. Like when things got heated in the Bo Pelini time, and I was one of the people who Nebraska. He
called the fans out. That's why he got fired.
Well, yeah, he did that. It was 3 years before he got fired, but it didn't help his cause. It was kind of the turning point. But it was a very polarized fan base. And anyway, I was on the side that this guy has hit the ceiling. His ceiling. He's a maniac, and it's not going to get any better. It's time for something new. We lost some sponsorships at my radio station because I dared, because some people, sponsors, and a lot of sponsors are business owners who are fans of that team, and that includes your sponsors at Jackrabbit Illustrated. They got mad, and some of them pulled or threatened to pull their sponsorships if we didn't just wave pom-poms, because they thought we, as a radio show, contributed to the success of the team. And if we just give our opinions and send messages that things are going bad, and that gets fans grumpier because things are what they are, then we're not helping the team win, which is not our job. Our job is to give our feelings on and information on what's actually going on. So do you guys ever feel that way? Because certainly at South Dakota State, you've kind of touched on this already. It's even more intimate. You have a lot of, you have the most fans of any team in the state. And we're talking football here, but we could be talking about all other sports. And yet it still is an intimate group. You're going to see a lot of fans at your tailgates. And some of them are parents and family members and friends of the team. Some of them are on the team, and the coaches, I'm sure, listen. It's got to be a weird space to be in sometimes, or is it?
Yes and no. I mean, Coach Stig, Jimmy, and then Dan have all been phenomenal at the access they've given us and allowed us to have. And I feel like at least there's never been a moment where they've been like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do this? Last year I did a mid-season report card and just did grades. And I graded the offensive line pretty tough and got a lot of heat on that on social media. And I reached out to Dan. I'm like, did I, cross a line here? Is there anything? And he goes, oh, they're playing better than you think, but that's just fine. You got to be objective with what you're seeing too. And I appreciated that from him. So
Chad or Brendan?
We don't get any, we're with how we are, I don't think we've ever once considered like, how's this going to affect our sponsorship? That's never, that's literally never been a conversation. And partially because of how we are, partially because our I don't think our sponsors would really care unless we started just wild stuff started coming out of here that we don't deal with. So, it's been great that way. It is a little odd sometimes, like you said, you're talking with parents, friends, or you become close. We became really close with the Gronowski family and all that. And I think, or you hear who listens to the podcast once in a while. There's been some people that have come through the tailgate that are pretty high up in certain places that are like, yeah, I listen sometimes. And you're like, oh, I don't want to know that. I don't want to. Oh, no. So,
please don't.
Yeah. Could you not? Oh, God.
But yet, a lot of people who have money. So could you please spread the word at the same time?
Right. Yeah. So, but no, I don't think that's ever been an issue. The post game shows. I have had to temper myself after games, and I actually kind of watch games in a different capacity than I used to. Because if you'd have talked to me if I'd have had that show after, say, the Iowa game a couple years back,
my goodness!
I would have been kicked off the podcast. I was a mess. I was sloppy, and I was heated, and it was not good.
It was really bad.
Yeah, I had to
talk you off the cliff.
Yeah, you almost got into
the car.
Almost got in fisticuffs with friends at the post tailgate area. So,
of course,
not my proudest moment.
Well, I don't know.
We've all been there.
Is it not? I mean, I'd be lying if I said I heard it, but I can get a sense of what happened. Like, that's a game where you got to be proud of. This is, this first game of the national championship season of 2022, where you go to Iowa, you almost beat the Hawkeyes, who are always a good Big Ten team, and you lose 7-3. Plenty of reasons to pump your chests out, feel and hang your head high, and yet, damn it, 7-3. There are plenty of chances in the game where you could have won and you didn't. So, but that's an example of a perfect firestorm for your show and for fans and why you all do this, right?
I was there, and I can quote Brendan. What he said was, "I'm upset about our missed opportunities."
As most fans would be.
Words.
Was that the way most fans felt, or did you feel? Were all of you at the game in Iowa City?
I was not. Nope.
Not that it matters, because you all have a lot of friends who are fans. But was that was that more of the prevailing feeling, or was it a mixed bag of either pride or damn it, or both?
It was.
I remember more concern,
and we were upset. I'm sorry, Matt.
Because we lost Tucker and Francel.
That's what I was going to say.
So I was concerned about that.
Crap.
Yeah.
We don't need to do this.
I think less fans were. I don't think as many people were as upset as I was, which was probably contributed to by.
I might have been paraphrasing,
but some people, it was frustrating at the time. You're always having to hear from NDSU fans at the time and all that stuff. I lived in Fargo for 6 years, so I have a bunch of friends who are NDSU fans and everything, and to see them come out on top of those games, and there's been a bunch of FBS games for SDSU that have been like that, where a couple plays go different. You don't fumble a handoff to a running back at Minnesota. You don't do this, whatever. And it felt like that was one they could have won. And I think that was just frustration with all that boiling over. But I wouldn't say that was the whole fan base for sure. I would say it was probably a minority.
Okay. But that's okay. Good for you for being in the minority and speaking your true feelings. And so the mention of North Dakota State, by the way, which 6 years were you in? Were you in Fargo, Brendan?
2016 through 2021.
Wow. So they're already like a 5-time national champion. And this is a time when SDSU is already kind of, getting closer, narrowing the gap, figuring it out. So what was that like for you? Just dealing with constant NDSU media, fans, by that point already probably very full of themselves.
Yeah. It was interesting. It really wasn't like terrible or anything, but there was a lot of ribbing back and forth all the time, whether you're at church or you're at work or whatever. And, there was a fair amount of people like that I worked with that weren't even really NDSU fans, but they'd give me a hard time about it anyways when that week came around, which is kind of the nature of rivalries anyways, right? A good one anyways. But overall it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of friends up there. I mean, you can't walk around and hate everybody, because of the sports rivalry. You live there for
We're all
6
Dakotans.
years. Right.
But you can get mad every time you see a cement truck with an ugly logo on it.
Right.
I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but whenever I travel across the country and mention I'm from South Dakota, most people don't know the difference between North and South Dakota.
No.
If you say Sioux Falls, half of them are going to think you're in North Dakota. So it's a much smaller world up here, but that's partly what has made that and awesome football, the Jackrabbit and Bison rivalry, so great. So it's a natural way for me to transition into, how do you guys feel about not having that game, at least temporarily? What does that do, not just for that 1 week, that one day, that one game, but for a whole season, for a whole way of living your football life?
So we've got other teams on our schedule this year that I'd rather talk about.
I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss the marker game. I'm not going to miss them overall. I'm fine with them going, but I'm going to miss the marker
revenue
game.
I mean, that's a big thing that isn't talked about so much, but that game brought a lot of revenue every other year.
Revenue, excitement, attention, hype, always the most consumed week of this show and probably Sioux Falls Live or other outlets' articles. Because to me, that's the number one thing about college sports is these rivalries. So, but it sounds like, at least with Matt, whatever, life goes on, or what?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. There's nothing we can do about it.
Can't change it.
Play the teams that are on our schedule. But yes, I am going to miss Dakota Marker Week. So,
okay. I'll go right to it. Does it feel like USD all of a sudden is the replacement for that, or the de facto replacement? Because it's take a drink, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Colorado, growing up.
I mean, there are only rival left. Maybe not the one we want, but it's what we got. Who are we going to have otherwise? You and I, maybe UND at some point, but they're not there. Southern Illinois has got a salty program always. I'd probably prefer to choose them, but they've already got the War of the Wheel, which is its own awesome rivalry that you should check out. That's just my opinion.
I think it would be very hard for it to be the same. Everybody would I'd get asked, what's the difference between the game with USD and then the game with NDSU? Well, you heard it from Matt. It was marker week. Like that wasn't just a game. That was a week, right? And then the USD game's a game. And this isn't. I'm not talking down on the rivalry with USD, but the reality is the majority of people who were around for the D2 rivalry and what that meant. I'm approaching 40, and I never saw a lick of it. And I was at the tail end of SDSU's, transition to Division I. So it doesn't have that pizzazz that it used to. And people would ask me, what's the difference between playing NDSU and the rivalry and playing USD? And the difference was when you played NDSU, you wanted to win that game more than anything in the world. When you played USD, you didn't want to lose that game because of just the historic of that program. You look back over the last, for their Division I era until recently, when now they've made 3 quarterfinals, they're really starting to cook. You just didn't want to lose the USD because, it was a rivalry game, but if you lost that game to a team that didn't make the playoffs, that's really going to hurt your season, sort of deal. So I think that's kind of the difference. And for it to get back to that level, I mean, it's hard to match every year being a top 10 matchup every year. And that game determining, NDSU fans would give us a hard time about, why do you care so much about NDSU? Well, because if we don't beat you, we're on the road in the playoffs, and it has been proven over and over and over and over. It is incredibly difficult to win a semifinal on the road. So it wasn't just about that game. It was everything to get to a national title. You'd have to win that regular season game to get home field in the semifinals, to get to the national title. And guess what? 2016, they start winning. And then all of a sudden you're winning the regular season and you get that string of wins in that stretch. And now you're getting home semifinal games. You're making it to the national title game. You're winning national titles. So that's why that was so important. Whereas USD, it's a state pride thing, and it just doesn't have the same pizzazz that carries. It doesn't have the swagger of a top 10 matchup every year yet. It can get there, certainly. But as of right now, that's where I was sitting between two of them.
It's interesting because, and I know Chad wants to speak on this, but it's 3-3 the last 6 years between USD and SDSU.
Yep.
USD has reached the quarterfinals, and therefore at the end of the season, they have finished in the top 10 each of the last 3 seasons. So it seems like that's a good recipe for a great de facto new rivalry. But again, you're being an authentic fan. That's how you truly feel. I'll let Chad bounce in.
I mean, there's things about it that are great. I mean, they're fellow South Dakotans. We got guys like Chad Berger that we can talk to, and Raz, and he's an USD fan, kind of. He's, we know he's a USF fan. I'm not saying he's not a USD fan.
Well, he played football. He played football at USF.
He's the number one.
He's a USD teacher
USF guy. Cordell. Well, yeah.
Right.
I'm not
Cordell
Taco
or Jax.
John's
He's a Taco
fan.
John's fan. Okay.
Hard to believe the bigger guy doesn't eat more Taco John's, but yeah. So there's good things. There's been bad things. That happens everywhere with rivalries. It's gonna grow. I mean, there's really no option there. Them being good is great for the subdivision. Like podcasts, like anything else, a rising tide lifts all ships. It's good for everybody for them to be good. Would I like to see them be bad? I mean, part of me, right? Like, I'm a fan. I don't like seeing my rivals do well.
Right.
You know what? You asked about that other team up north. I'm not going to name them, but I hope they do well. They're like an ex-girlfriend that I don't care about a whole lot anymore, because why would I?
Well, do you not care, or are you just trying not to care? Does it take effort not to care? Not to check on Facebook, see how her life is going?
I don't look at all,
night on the
John.
CBS Sports
I'm
Network
like
or the
that.
CW, where they're
I
playing.
have friends from up there. I'm going to hear about it whether I want to or not. We share a group of friends, so to speak. So you're going to hear about it. I don't have to look at that at all.
Okay.
I've heard about it enough at Media Day. Anyway.
I don't know if you're talking about us. We limited that.
I have opinions. Anyway, so
one question apiece. That was it.
Yeah. Anyway,
He can't
I
help himself.
think they're going to do well in the
Okay.
FBS and in their league, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if we're going to talk about them, let's talk about them. I think their biggest challenges are going to be Wyoming and New Mexico, probably. Outside of that, I think they could 50-50 the top third of the league this year. I don't know, but USD, their fan base is growing, and that's good. That's gonna be what it takes to make it more interesting, I think.
Brendan, Matt, yeah, are you guys going to be watching, looking, checking?
I mean, we'll hear about it. Like, I still follow Dom. You know, I love Dom Izzo's been helpful in this journey too. I want to shout him out. So, like,
How so?
I'll see the information. He's been on a couple times with us and just provided insight on NDSU, and you know, just when I'd see him, just kind of general feedback. Just so that was good. Dom's a great guy. So I'm going to keep following him. So I'll just keep up with the NDSU news that way.
Yeah.
And we're all Packers fans, so we get some through, what's his name? Ross Uglum, too.
Right? Ross, too. Yep. Bison Report. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, I guess, I'm not going to be like checking the scores. I'm not going to watch any of the games. That's just where I'm at with it. It's best for SDSU that they do well. I think that's kind of inarguable. If they do well, if they come out and they're garbage, well, then that's not going to look good on anybody in the FCS or anything else. So overall, I think it's best if they do well. I'm probably not going to be watching games because I watch all FCS right now. That's what I do. I'll keep an eye on probably their record. I'm going to hear about it, like all of us. You know, I have even more NDSU friends than these guys from living up there, so I'm going to hear about it. But other than that, yeah, you know, best of luck to them. Everybody knew they wanted to do this for years and years and years, and SDSU has not been. The fan base is not at that point yet. I think at this point you're maybe probably 50-50, 60-40 wanting to go at all, and I don't think anybody's really amped up enough to start screaming about it. It's going to be what it's going to be, and I think a lot of that has to do with faith in your athletic director. Yes. And I think a lot of people forget this is a presidential decision. This isn't your athletic director doesn't just say we're going. Like, that has to be approved by the presidents. These are presidents making these decisions. You know, your athletic director makes sure that you've got everything set up and are ready. And I find it funny when some people comment, well, we don't know this about SDSU, when they admit that they didn't know that about NDSU either on some of these things. And Justin Sell consistently gives pretty much the same answer that Matt Larson always gave of, we're going to be ready for if the right opportunity arises, we'll be ready to take that opportunity. So I think some of the conversation about it's a little silly, and that's such a deep and nuanced thing when you really get into it. I think I wrote a blog for JI probably 3-4 years ago now, where I broke down the money, I broke down the travel, just not a pro, not a against, just to break down the facts of it, of what everything would cost, what the movement is. And I got a lot of flack because people thought I was arguing for FBS, but it's a lot more nuanced than, well, you just go here because the money's better. Well, it's not necessarily. You know, when you factor in costs and you factor in, you know, everybody thinks the TV deals are huge for all these G5 conferences. If you look at media rights on like the Knight Newhouse survey, SDSU brings in more through media rights than some of these CUSA teams do, and those CUSA teams are having to play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays to get $150,000-$200,000 a year.
Wow.
You know, and it's not everybody's getting $2 million a year from these media contracts anymore. And I'm getting way off topic.
But I
wanted to bring one thing up. Matt brought up Dom Izzo coming on the show. We've had a lot of phenomenal guests on the show, and I just wanted to give Matt a flowers.
Made it good.
Matt Berry from ESPN College Game Day during the day of the show that they have. Matt Berry's been on with us. You know, the Villanova play-by-play announcer who I locked up and froze once we started to talk to him because I forgot his name because it hit me right when we started the countdown that, oh, this isn't just Villanova's football announcer. This guy
is basketball.
Like a couple months ago was announcing the NCAA national championship Villanova basketball game play-by-play. This is no joke. And I kind of locked up. I vapor locked and forgot his name. So, but yeah, it's so that's my meandering wander thought.
It's the beauty. Well, no, I mean, that's where I was going to go next. Do Chad or Matt have anything to add to that? Not the Villanova thing, but the
not the
FBS.
Villanova thing. But in some conferences, it's kind of their finals, FBS and name only, and the G6 is what it is now. I mean, the top tier schools are looking to break away. We all see that is something that's probably going to happen. It's still a good step up, I think, for them. And like I said, I wish them luck. I don't know where that's going to end up in the future. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I think we all see where that is heading, but it hasn't gone there yet. And we would take that invite if it came down. We'd be dumb not to, right? Like, I mean, I think we all agreed on that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it just feels like for the moment, hey, there's been 2 national titles. You haven't won the last 2. You'd enjoy another 1 or 2 or 3 before you saw what the great beyond would provide for you. Does that seem fair? That seems like where a lot of the fan base is at.
Yeah,
I
don't know what
to one day doing FBS, but for now it's fun and you're chasing national titles and
yeah. Yep.
It'd be nice to win a national championship in Nashville where nobody around us ever has. I don't know what they have for green space for our party, but we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I went there.
There you go.
I've been to every national title since 2020, and Nashville's pretty great.
Yeah. So that's how we'll land the plane. If we run our hour-long TV show, we'd already be going long. But, and look, we'll just consider the next, 5 or 10 minutes to end this conversation as an appetizer for all the shows you guys are going to be doing in August and into September when the games begin. But, it looks like the Jacks are anybody who's cared to release their own preseason poll. They're the favorites in the MVFC, and they're number 2 or 3, 4th at worst in the country to start the season. A lot of talent and coming back. So what are all of your kind of at the moment? And some of you have been doing a lot of nuanced research, pumping out articles at JackrabbitIllustrated.com on specific position groups. Your feelings on where 2026 is headed with Jack's football. I'll start with the Podfather.
Hey, there we go. All right. I do think, we are that number 2 team in the country. From just what we bring back, the amount of talent, the amount of depth that was created last year because of all the injuries. We don't know. We can say we're excited about the transfers, but we don't know. We don't know until we actually see them out there and actually in MVFC play. We maybe had some fool's gold last year where we thought some of the transfers we brought in were really going to help us out. And by the end of the season, we didn't see them a lot on the field. So we don't know yet with that. But, man, you got to feel good about the wide receivers. You got to feel good about the linebackers. We do need that depth, that defensive line group. I know you had Matt on yesterday, and he thinks it's all there with the defensive line and just getting that 10 deep rotation again. And that would be great. And I do, John, anticipate this year we see maybe some freshmen as well. Just with that new 5-for-5 rule, I think we're actually going to see some more freshmen just playing just because they can and being in the rotation. So we'll see.
Brendan?
I think the potential of this team is through the roof. Potential wise, if the O-line plays up to what their talent is, you have a couple of these young running backs develop into a good running back with their understanding of the offense and everything. The potential's through the roof. The trouble is you've got a Montana State team that rightfully so is being compared to potentially a 2023 SDSU because of how much they've brought back from that title team that was very talented. But as far as the SDSU roster, I think if you didn't have the season prior and you just looked at this roster and the talent and everything that's on it, the hype behind this team would be astronomical. But the reality is you were 9-5 last year. You didn't make the semifinals for the first time in 6 seasons. I don't know if it's better than 3 quarterfinals in a row, but I think that's okay. And then
I'm sure you guys get tired of that one.
Well, hey, that's what you want to put on a banner and hang. Go ahead.
But I think this team has the potential to be extremely good, but the Valley is really good this year. Really good with the amount of the star quarterbacks that are coming back and the amount of retention there was in the Valley of good players. It's going to be a really, really fun season.
Mm-hmm. Chad?
Well, I'll give you the coach answer. I like the guys we got. I mean, you were at media day too. That is all sunshine and rainbows. And how can you really say anything else?
Always is. That's what I love and hate about media days.
Yeah, right. I mean, everybody gives the exact same answer, more or less. Our guys are the best guys. We have better culture. It's awesome. I think that we do have a lot of great culture in our division and in our conference specifically. But I mean, we look at last year and it was a rough year, marred by injury and tragedy and all the things that went into that. And it's hard not to look at that, look at what we're bringing in, what we're bringing back, and not be excited, because we were close to making that run to the semifinals again last year with an injured team, with, players that we didn't expect to be starting. So, it's nowhere but up. But then again, we got our butts handed to us by the Grizz last year, and that's something they're going to probably have to avenge at some point if we want to win in Nashville.
Yeah, fair enough. Are you, how full steam ahead are you guys on the Chase Mason train as far as his last go with what he's got, his potential, his NFL quasi hype, all that?
Unlock the guy.
Yeah, the one thing, we've talked about this in our chat, just with Jack Henry's development and then the other quarterback, Holst, that they brought in. I really hope they let Chase be Chase this year and run the ball. Last year, there was such an emphasis on keeping him healthy and upright, and he still got hurt, that it felt like we didn't unlock that superpower with his legs ever, and he still got hurt. And so I just think with Jack Henry, with Holst being there, there's a little more confidence in what we have in the backup quarterback situation, that, again, I hope we utilize him to his full capacity.
Anybody else?
I think you can call me the conductor of that hype train. I think the full season with the full offense being properly put in without having to try to recruit 60 new guys at the same time and coaches coaching other coaches on what to coach, a full proper off season, and for Chase to settle into the system, know where he's going to go. I think that's really going to speed up his reads. There was a lot of sacks last year where he just held on to the ball too long, and the O-line gets dogged for it, but you got to get rid of it. And so I think the confidence in the scheme and the understanding is really going to pick him up. And I think he's going to be challenging for the Peyton Award if he stays healthy.
Man, I am just upset with myself, because I used to have a hat that I could put on here, but if I'm on that train, everybody knows I'm driving it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
We'll leave it at that, I guess. I think this is it. Anybody else have to pee really bad like I do? Okay. Yes. 3 hands goes up. Matt, you're a magic man. This has been 66 minutes, and I've had a full cup of coffee, glass of wine, half a bottle of water, but I can't let you guys go without asking. Same thing I asked the Howling Podcast guys last week about being fans of an FCS team, a mid-major Division I team in the other sports, particularly basketball, in the NIL portal era, where in some cases, not Chase Mason, not Quentin Christensen, but say Oscar Clough. If you have a player who has a great year, he's going to be get 6- and 7-figure offers, and a lot of your best players just aren't going to stick around once they have one awesome year. How much does that bother you? Make you less intense or in love with college athletics. I've been on the record that says it sucks. It's not as good as when, kids stuck around at the same school. Most of them did all the time for 4 years, and you got to know them and teams developed and blah, blah, blah. But they're wearing your laundry. You went there, you're fans. As long as the teams are good, you'll cheer for whoever is in that uniform. You're not as mad about it as you might think you are. But I want to hear from people who are actually deep-seated fans.
Sure. So football, when Jimmy did leave and took, all those players with him, we were angry. Like everyone was angry about that. Just because it hurt, right? It was like one of your family members taking away, whatever. Because Jimmy was family.
Kidnapped.
Yeah. And I think basketball wise, we've just gotten used to it. It's definitely not as much fun. Right, because you're not going to have that Nate Walters or Mike Dom that you grow up, you grow with and you see develop over the course of 4 or 5 years, and then that's just not going to happen anymore. And so that does kind of stink. I think for my basketball fandom, I've just adopted the mindset. We're cheering for the team, the jersey at that point, much less the individual. And when you do get that individual that stays super loyal, a Matt Mims from a few years ago. Matt Mims is a Jackrabbit fan favorite. He was never the best player, but he's playing ball in Australia right now. And the amount of Jackrabbit fans that interact with his stuff on Instagram is so cool to see. People love him still and keeping up with his journey over there. And so I think those players that do stick around are going to be the ones that Jackrabbit fans love.
Around the horn we go.
I think for me personally, I'm good for you. If that's what you get, a huge offer and take it. I'm not going to judge anybody for that. Absolutely do it. It's so frequent and it happens so often. If you are in a special case like a Mark Gronowski who was here and got graduated with 2 degrees and you spent that full time in essentially grad transfer, I'm going to follow that guy and cheer for that guy. You're a Jackrabbit and you essentially did a grad transfer. That's fine. If you're a guy who, you played 1 year and you left, I'm not mad at you at all for leaving. But I'm not going to try to follow 10 different teams because a guy was here for a year and then got paid. So that's kind of where I stand with it. I think the thing that gets lost sometimes, like in the national conversation about this, where fans get browbeat of, well, you take the money and you should be happy and all this other stuff, is we're forgetting that we're talking about college athletics being a business, and your consumers are the ones that are getting upset, and you've got to keep them in mind. And your consumers are the fans, and there has to be some consideration. They got to find a balance somehow. That's way above that's so complicated when it gets into that stuff that I can't give a good right, wrong, otherwise opinion, but you've got to find a balance somehow. Just continuing to tell fans that, no, this is the way it is. You're going to like it and you need to like it. And you're a bad person if you don't like it. You're not necessarily wrong, but those are the people. There's all these people that are following are the reason these guys get paid $8 million, $6 million, $10 million, whatever they're getting paid on these NIL deals and all that stuff. And you don't want to kill that off. So I think that's something that has been forgotten a lot in this conversation, and they need to start to remember it when it comes to that. Otherwise, eventually you do kill the golden goose.
Yeah, and you took the wind out of my sails. I was going to say, when it comes to basketball specifically, that the NCAA and the big schools, primarily the P5, whatever you want to call them now, have went out of their way to try and eat that golden goose, with expanding the tournament and all this. The tournament's not going to be fun if there's no Cinderellas. If it's all Big Ten, SEC, ACC teams, people are going to care less. I mean, sure, those fan bases will care just as much, right? They don't care. But I mean, that's what made it fun, is having a 16 beat a 1, right? Like, that was crazy. That's what you watch March Madness for. I'm more of a wrestling guy. We've seen it in wrestling a bit, even at SDSU to a lesser degree in wrestling, because there's just not so many spots available. But it's kind of ruined my fandom for for basketball at the level that it once was, because it's hard to follow a team like they were saying with Mike Dom and Nate Walters, Megan Vogel, whatever, be it on the women's side. If those people are transferring every year, I couldn't even name half of our team this year, because I know a couple, 2-3 guys that were there. There were some guys that left for other reasons, cool, whatever. But yeah, it makes it difficult to follow and really get energized about.
Okay. Well, and yet still, boy, a lot of people are going to those games, watching your podcast.
Sure. Yeah.
And it is, I mean, all the athletes, all the coaches always talk about how just a unique, special thing SDSU and Brookings has going on. And it's not, as someone who's supposed to be objective about this, that's very apparent and noticeable. And, but you guys over the last few years, as everything has grown, the crowds, the fan base, the seriousness at which people now follow this and consume it. It's hey, you guys have been a big part of the whole thing along the way. So now we can get into football season, get into all the position groups, react to games, and especially those who love recruiting. JackrabbitIllustrated.com is there. The A team on Sunday, the B team on Tuesdays, late night with Borg, Zach Borg. It's happening again, right? This year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What, 10:30, 11 o'clock on Saturdays?
Usually 11 o'clock, sometimes to be decided. You got to check on our Twitter once in a while if one of us is traveling.
And
There's usually
Scared
one
Money
that gets pushed to Sunday.
Okay. And Scared Money don't make money. That's Thursdays, right?
Around
Wednesdays.
there.
Yeah.
Around
Wednesdays.
later in the week.
Yep.
Get close to game time. Matt Tollefson, Chad Myros, Brendan Ludke. Thanks, guys. I'll leave everything that we left out to your show. This was a blast. I appreciate you guys finding a time to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having us, John. This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yep, the Jackrabbit Illustrated guys. You're probably already following them, but if you don't, you should. At Jackrabbit_ILLSTRTD on Twitter. And for video producer Cordell Wright, I'm John. Happy hour, and cheers. Cheers, guys.
You need anything else, John?
No, I think I'm good, Greg. I think I'm going to tap out.
All right. Have a good night.